Recent applicants have reported that Manila is not currently receiving new I-129F petitions. So right now they're sitting at the NVC waiting until Manila is ready. Does that mean Manila has permanently stopped receiving K-1 petitions? No, but the normal timeline may not be realistic anymore. Here's what we know, what you can do, and how long couples should reasonably be prepared to wait. Welcome back to the Global Immigrant. I'm Brian, and my wife and I have already been through this entire process for the K-1 visa. So this update is current as of August 2nd, and I'm using official government information and responses from NVC applicants who are currently going through this process and waiting. So what is actually happening? First, the NVC isn't sending a visa to Manila. It's sending an application for the visa, your approved I-129F. And after USCIS approves the I-129F, it creates a case number that usually starts with MNL for Manila and forwards the case to the embassy in Manila. And the problem appears to be at the transfer point from NVC to Manila. So really what's going on is there's only so many slots for interviews, okay? So they send your case to Manila, then you schedule an interview, biometrics, all of that. And right now they're so backed up that there's just not enough slots, so they're on hold. It's still coming. It's just gonna take a little bit longer. But what they're not doing is suspending K-1 visas. They're not shutting down the program or anything like that. They just right now have a real big backlog of interviews that they have to get through before they can continue on to the next batch. So Manila handles an enormous caseload. State Department statistics have shown that they've received 495 K-1 visas and about 110 K-2 visas just in May alone. So the embassy controls how many cases they can handle. If petitions arrive faster than what they can get through them with the interviews and everything that's involved, then the petitions get put on hold and they get added to the embassy's backlog. And sometimes there's also additional screening for some applicants, to kind of prove stuff. Proof of relationship, the ability to financially be responsible for that person once they get to the U.S., so on and so forth, right? And also since March 30th of 2026, they're looking at social media presence too. So Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, whatever social media you're on has to be made available, which is gonna make it an even longer process to get through each applicant. Now they haven't said this causes the hold and the delay on applications, but it doesn't help, right? It just adds more to the process, more stuff they have to go through, etc. I can tell you, when my wife and I went through this process, I used a website called Track My Visa Now or trackmyvisa.com. I'll put the actual website down here. Now you can pay for the service. I forget how much it was. It wasn't that much. But what it lets you do is it lets you see other people that update the website, where they're at, and how long it took them to get from their previous step to the step they're at now. So from NOA 1 to NOA 2, it took, on average, 6 months, 8 months, whatever. You can see that in the list. And then it goes to the NVC, then it goes to the interview, and then from there to when they arrived. So you can track all that, and that's really helpful. I would check that all the time just because, I was impatient just like everybody watching this is too. So I totally understand. That is a good resource that I use that I would recommend. Another one that's more up to date than like the USCIS website on how long the whole process takes is the Boundless Immigration website. They generally track it a little bit better because the USCIS website is every visa in your category, whether they had issues or not. If it went straight through, it doesn't break that off from people who needed more information and it took them longer, or incomplete applications, right? Those kind of skew the numbers for the USCIS website and it make it seem like it takes longer. So for example, it would say 11 months and then I would go to Boundless Immigration and theirs would be closer to 8 months, which was way more accurate when we went through this process. So I would imagine they're still doing that, and that's another great resource to kind of get a better picture of how long it's actually going to take. So you might be wondering, is there any workarounds? Is there anything I can do to speed this up? And the answer is no, not really. You can't hire a lawyer. There's no expedited process here. You know, nobody wants to hear it, but you just kind of have to grit your teeth and wait. But here's the good news. It's coming, okay? You've gotten through the worst part. The hardest part is the I-129F. It takes the longest. It's the longest wait. And then once this NVC gets to Manila and that gets approved, then before you know it, you got an interview. Then you got your medical. And then all of a sudden you're booking flights. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So just be patient and trust that it's going to happen, because I promise it's going to happen. As far as how long it's going to take, a realistic estimate right now, 4 to 6 months. It's just going to take a little while. They're backed up. So you got one more long wait, and then it's going to be over before you know it. So just hang in there and know that, you know, your 129F is not going to expire. If you're to this point in the process, it's not going to be invalid after 4 months. If you've made it this far, it's all downhill. We're just playing a waiting game. The bottom line is Manila K-1 visas haven't been permanently canceled. They're just kind of on hold right now. Some petitions are on hold at the NVC, waiting for the backlog to clear up in Manila. And if you are waiting, tell us how long you've been waiting in the comments. And, you know, don't post any receipt numbers or any of that, but, you know, just, you know, I've been waiting 6 months, 4 months. Give people an idea what they're in for here. That'll help us see how many cases are moving and how many are stalled and how long they've been stalled for. I'm Brian. This is the Global Immigrant, helping you navigate visas, immigration, and life across borders. We'll see you on the next